Moinsen Freunde, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I picked my two favorite colors that I actually never used in one painting before. I will give you a tip on how you prevent your colors getting muddy, and also I will show you how important the amount of paint on your canvas is. So let's do this. I'm intending to cover the whole canvas. It's 16 by 20 inches. So I will use a fair amount of paint. And you will realize in the end, and I will point it out to you, why in this one I used way too much. Overall, I used too much pillow paint, I used too much paint on top of it. But let's get into that later. I will use two of my favorite colors, Matisse Southern Ocean Blue and Golden Quinacridone Nickel Azo Gold. Two wonderful colors, and the reason why I'm sure they will work together is fairly easy. So let's dive into color theory just for a second. Blue and yellow mixed to a green. But it always depends on the kind of blue and yellow you are using. It's like math. So with this example, the blue is on the green side, which means it probably has yellow in it, otherwise it wouldn't be greenish. If my blue was more on the red side, then chances are pretty high that this reddish blue mixed with yellow will turn muddy. Since I have a greenish blue, and I know you need a yellow to make it turn green, it will stay vibrant. So in a nutshell, you have to figure out what colors are in your colors. Sometimes you can see it, we might need a little practice, but you will see if they are leaning towards red or yellow or blue. And if you have a blue that leans towards green, you will have a blue and a yellow. If you mix that with red, you're mixing those three colors and not only blue and red, because they always have a tint to them, unless you use primary colors. But who does that? I hope this all made sense to you. If not, shoot me a question. Alrighty, so let's get back to the painting. This is my Nickel Azo Gold. The first color I put on was black, then my Southern Ocean Blue. On top of that, I used Indigo Waves by this little piggy and Interference Gold by Golden. Again, the other blue, the Indigo Waves I used, has a gold to it, so it also is leaning more towards green. These are my cell activators. This one is a Deep Gold by Golden mixed with Australian Floetrol 1 to 1.5. And the other one is Amsterdam Oxide Black mixed with Australian Floetrol 1 to 1. When I load up my palette knife, I try to spread it out a lot because I really just want a really thin layer of my cell activator. There's two different ways. The first one I show you here is pour it on and then tilt my tool so it will spread out. The other one, I think I will do that later, is I just spread it out right away with another tool. I really just want a thin layer. Here I use some boom gel in black on top of the cell activator, and I try to spread that out as much as it's possible because boom gel's consistency is fairly thick, way thicker than my other colors. So by spreading it out a little, it makes it easier to spread it out with the swipe later. On top of that, I just added my other colors, the Southern Ocean Blue, the Interference Gold, and the Nickel Azo Gold. And then I will just swipe. While I'm swiping, I'm realizing how much paint is on the canvas. I was very generous with the pillow paint and also very generous with the blue. So let me explain why that is not necessarily a good thing. If you're familiar with this technique, you know that I work with 3 different consistencies. The thickest is the pillow, that's the white one that I put on top. That is just my carrier, my slider, that will move with tilting and spinning, and the composition on top will expand. The second layer are my paints mixed with my pouring medium. On top of that, there will be, in this case, I put it on my palette knife, there will be the cell activator, which is the thinnest layer. So what happens in a nutshell with this technique is the thin layer has almost no surface tension, and it can really easily sink through all the other layers. And that is what creates those cells. There's different factors that you have to be aware. Not only the amount, also the consistency, but I want to focus on the amount today. So if your cell activator has a thick layer of paint underneath that it can sink through, it won't be able to hold its shape very well. Another reason why I'm not super happy with all that paint on my canvas is I love that blue and I love that yellow, but only if it's stretched out enough, meaning a thin layer of that color. I'll show you in the end the different parts where I was able to stretch the paint out more because I used a scoop and drag, or the parts in the middle where I did not swipe at all, where I just left the paint the way I poured it onto the canvas. And you will see the difference of the 2 colors. It's the same paint, but it's just thicker in spots. You can also get a pretty good idea of what I'm talking about once I do a scoop and drag. The intensity and the brightness of those colors are so much better, and they really pop on the background. So make sure you don't skip ahead and see those. So let me go ahead with swiping. I will speed you up when it goes to the compositioning, and I'll see you in the end. Oh, I also will make a comparison piece where I use way less of the same paints just to show you the difference. And you're gonna see that next Friday. All right, see you in the end. Have fun. And here it is. So I had to spin a lot because of the amount of paint. I wanted to keep the gold, black and white part on that top left corner, so I lost a bunch of my yellow. But it's still a really good composition, I think. If you look closer, you can see the two different blues, which is basically the same blue, just the lighter blue is more stretched out while the darker part is not. So I hope you could see what I was talking about and learned that you can actually play with the amount of paint. There's no wrong or right. It all depends on the look you're going for. Thanks so much for being here. Check out the description box for a link to my Patreon if you want to support me. My spinner discount codes, all the good stuff, and I hope to see you soon. Until then, be good. Bye-bye.